third story is a little bit more of a controversial one, but I'm going to have fun with this one. And thank goodness I'm not that famous, or else they'd probably try to ruin my life over this. But oh well, it is what it is at this point. I'm ready. This story's about Steve King, who's an Iowa congressman. I see him, sometimes he makes valid points, but honestly, I feel like this guy is just a PR nightmare. I've seen him a bunch, and it always seems like he says just a little bit too much. Like, if you guys have ever seen the Chappelle Show episode where it's like, when keeping it real goes wrong, like, that's this guy. I'm not even saying he's keeping it real. I don't know that much about him. I just feel like he's always kind of slipping up with his words. So he's under fire from the left, and he actually got dropped from committees on the Republican Party. They have to disavow him because he made a little error in his speaking. But low-key, what he said, I understand what he was saying. It's kind of like with Trump or him. I don't care what, like, if I want to know the content of the message. That's why even with conservatives, when conservatives say, oh, Lil Wayne, he needs to speak better English, it's like, why? Why does he have to speak better English? He makes tens of millions of dollars. He supports, common sense a lot of times. Like, he stands up against, social justice warriors. Who cares that he doesn't speak perfect English like you do? He's doing him. It's like, I say the same thing to conservatives. It's not about, how he says it. It's like, what does he actually mean? Is it valid? That's how I like to judge people. And people on the left and the right don't seem to do that. Anyway, he had an interview with New York Times, and he said, white nationalist, white supremacist, Western civilization. How did that language become offensive? Why did I sit in classes teaching me about merits of our history and civilization? So the obvious error was saying white supremacist. If he would have just said white nationalist and Western civilization, he probably would have been fine. But anytime you throw white supremacist in there, it's not a good idea. I watched his apology for it, and honestly, the dude looks like a lost goldfish. No offense, Steve King, but you're not doing that well in the press. He was like standing up there, and he's like, I don't think I would have said that, but I might have said it. I'm like, bro, you're not doing yourself any favors. But then he explained, like, here's what he said again. I'm going to read it. White nationalist, white supremacist, Western civilization. How did that language become offensive? Why did I sit in classes teaching me about the merits of our history and civilization? So he should have just said white nationalist, Western civilization, kept it at that, it would have been fine. But he threw in white supremacist and probably ruined his whole career. But outside of the semantics of it, like, I get it, he shouldn't have said that. What did he actually mean, and is it valid? I think what he's talking about, I don't know him personally, so I'm not going to justify anything he said or done, but I understand a little bit where he's coming from as far as saying, like, if you say you're pro-Western civilization or you're pro-nationalism, there's black American nationalists, there's white American nationalists, there's Hispanic American nationalists, there's Jewish American nationalists, there's Asian American nationalists. Like, when you throw white on the nationalist, everyone loses their mind. And he's like, why is that such a bad thing? I think that's the point he was trying to say. And to be honest, outside of his white supremacy comment, which was misspoken, it's really not a bad thing. He's kind of right about what he's trying to say. Is like, they hate Western civilization, just like they hate men. Like, is Gillette terrible for making that commercial? Like, no, I get that it's not the end of the world, but it is an anti-man propaganda, and everything's anti-man. Because if you have strong men in your family or your community, whether you're black, white, Asian, Hispanic, then you won't put up with a lot of BS. Like, strong men protect not so strong people, and that's okay. And so do strong women and stuff, but it's okay to have that. But they're anti-men and anti-Western because they really don't like the Western world. And let me read the definition of supremacy real quick. So, obviously I'm not pro-white supremacist, but nationalist I don't see a problem with. Supremacy means an advocate of the supremacy of a particular group, especially determined by race or sex. So this is like the privilege thing. An advocate of the supremacy of a particular group, especially determined by race or sex. With that definition, I feel like feminist supremacists and women supremacists are way bigger of a problem than white supremacists. Besides Steve King misspeaking, who are prominent white supremacists? Like Richard Spencer of the alt-right, who gets, interviews with Charles Barkley sometimes. he's not really that famous. You know what I'm saying? He's not that big in pop culture, like outside of the alt-right and maybe a few others who listen. He's not really that poppin'. Female supremacists and woman supremacists, they're everywhere. It's in every movie. It's in every bookstore. It's on every phone. It's on every tablet. It's on every single news source. Like, female supremacists are everywhere. There's Islam supremacists, which is a huge problem in the world. There's Jewish supremacists. There's Christian supremacists. A lot of Christians, think they're better than people. They're like, I'm going to heaven, you're not. According to the definition, that's supremacist. There's black supremacists, not only in America, but in the world. And if you compare, this is what really bothers me. I'm not a PR team for white supremacy. I'm distancing myself. I'm not a part of that. I don't believe any ethnicity or race is inherently better, or that someone should be like, oh, I want an ethnostate. That's not my vibe. But black supremacy in the world, if you look at South Africa, it's a real problem. People are getting murdered and they're getting their land stolen, even though they've been there for 400 years. They've been there longer than America's existed. Black supremacy is a real problem in South Africa. Like, literally, people are getting slaughtered, and the liberal news doesn't want to talk about it. Why do they not want to talk about it? Well, because they don't actually judge people based on content of character. They judge people only based on race. So if it's black, they care. If it's this, they care. If it's white, they don't care if people are getting slaughtered. If you take what's going on in South Africa, compare it to the white Western world. I'm not saying it's all white. We're very mixed now, but I mean, America essentially was founded by white people, and Europe, if you open your eyes, it's mostly white people. I mean, just based on the color of their skin, Europe and America. Look how people are treated, black, Hispanic, Asian, whatever, Christian, Jewish, Muslim, this, that, and the other. In the white Western world, people are not treated that bad. I mean, even in Israel, you could say what you want about that whole conflict, but I've heard from my black friends who play basketball and travel, they said Israel's one of their favorite places to go. They said their people there are so not racist. It's just what I've heard. So in the Western world, white supremacy is really not an issue. They have to make it the straw man, because if people figure out, especially women and certain communities, if they figure out that low taxes and smaller government is a big win for everyone, then their whole global takeover and high tax, Democrat, socialist, communism won't work. So they can't let people know. So they have to straw man the white supremacist. And I mean, of course, Stephen King, the dude's a goofball. I mean, of course, he's the perfect Republican to straw man and be like, look at that guy. It's like, why is this guy there? Apparently no one's better than him and can speak better. But, he's the perfect straw man, because white supremacy, regardless of what he said or what they said, is not really a problem in this world. And there's they always blame the white American, but if you look at statistics of wealth and ownership, there's a lot of other cultures. I mean, people can say Jewish is white, but, Jewish people are doing very well. Asians are doing very well. Certain parts of Africa are doing very well, even better than white Americans. Like, white people in America are not even doing that well. And there's charts as well. As far as Hispanic, black, and white, Hispanic and black are going up in quality of life, and I've seen white is going down. So it's not like the whites are hating everybody else and it's a terrible place to be in America. Like, no one really cares. Like, if the media shut up for 3 weeks, nobody would ever care. Like, I don't see any of this stuff in real life. Everywhere I go, I talk to people who are Muslim. I talk to people who are black. I talk to people who are Hispanic. And we have a great time because they're real people who don't reflect the 0.0000001% of the news that literally just causes mass division among people. So this is the story they're going to use. Ron Perlman, the dude, never mind, I was going to say something bad, but I'll just be nice. He's like, oh, own it. You're the party of the KKK. It's like, dude, shut up, my man. First of all, it was the Democratic Party that was the party of the KKK. It's still the Democratic Party, in my personal perspective, that is the most racist, sexist, and xenophobic. Like, yes, Stephen King misspoke, and it might cost him his career. Yes, Roseanne misspoke or said something that people didn't want to hear. It cost her career. Every single day, liberals say things that are 10,000 times more racist, sexist, and xenophobic every day of their lives. Like, they eat, breathe, and sleep racism and sexism, but they have this weird PR shield around them, which a supremacist and someone who's privileged does. I mean, at the definition of supremacist, It's hard for me to figure out how women feminists and liberals are not liberal supremacists. Like, they're the most supreme people ever. You can't even have an intelligent discussion about Europe, America, and the world. Like, I'm not a snowflake. You're not going to hurt my feelings. You could tell me that my blood is not pure and I have bad DNA and I'm going to go, to the underworld. It doesn't really bother me. People's opinions and perspectives don't bother me. You could hate on my race. You could hate on my gender. You could hate on, my ethnicity. I don't really care about other people's opinions. And what Steve King was saying, there's some validity to it outside of the wording. He's making a point that's very valid, and it's like, get to a point. If a black activist says something that's anti-white, but he's making a valid point, I don't care that oh my God, he's hurting my, make the point, and I might agree with it. I might be like, yeah, white people be crazy. Like, it is what it is. Like, it's not that big of a deal. I'm so tired of the media. Like, they're like, oh my God, they're going to talk about this for a year. They're going to use it in 10,000 commercials. It's just like, I'm so tired of this stuff. That's why I like comedy, because it's like, until they ruin that, which they're trying to do, comedy's hilarious. You got black people making fun of white people making fun of black people, white people making fun of white people, men making fun of women, women making fun of men, them making fun of themselves, and it's hilarious. And it's mostly either not true, like I say all the time, like certain shock humor, the part of the butt of the joke is that it's not true. That's what makes it so funny. Like when Kevin Hart's like, yo, if my baby was playing with dolls and he was gay, I would hit him in the head. The funny part about that, although it's not that funny, is that he wouldn't actually do that. Kevin Hart would never hit his kid, and maybe he would, I don't know, but like that the punchline is like, it's so messed up and you shouldn't do that it's funny. Other times the punchline is like, oh my God, it's like, a lot of people love comedy because it's something that they think that they don't want to say. And then Dave Chappelle or Louis C.K. says it and they're like, shucks, man, like that's messed up, but like low key it's true. That's like what my whole channel is. Like, although I would argue that nothing I say is really messed up. That's why we got the whole world and the whole country in here of all race, religions, and genders. You always got to say that to virtue signal so they don't ruin your life. But it's like, real people are real people. Real recognize real. I've never had a problem in any community, whether I rapped or whether it was, I'm playing soccer with my Hispanic friends. No one cares. It's like, when I play soccer, they want me to be good. If I'm good enough at soccer, then they like me. If I'm not good, they don't like me. They don't care about my race or religion or gender. It's same with like in rap. It's like, do you have skills? Are you speaking the truth? If you're speaking the truth, real people will like you. Fake people won't like you. There's real people of every race, religion, and gender. There's good people of every race, religion, and gender. Inherently, most people are pretty much good. There's not that many bad people. Terrible people are the outlier. And, there's bad people in every. It's very, very simple, basic stuff. But we're never going to get to that point. With I'm not saying Republicans are perfect. Like Steve King and a lot of these people, the reason Trump won is because they suck so much. Like Trump runs circles around these people. It's not hard to see why he took over the Republican Party. It's because they're not that competent. Sorry, guys. But we're never going to get there. Not to say that Republicans don't have things to work on. Liberal media, left-wing ideology, it is a total destruction of all sanity, all reason. It's really bad. We're never going to be equal. We're never going to be free. We're never going to enjoy ourselves again. We're never going to thrive if they keep ruining everything. I hate to just blame the left wing, but really it is. They don't judge on content of character. They don't judge based on justice or truth. Regardless of what the situation is, with a police officer or a person, I don't care if they're a police officer. I don't care if they're the criminal. I don't care if they're the innocent victim. I don't care if that person's black. I don't care if that person's Hispanic. I don't care if that's a woman. What's the truth? Was it that guy's fault or was it the police officer's fault? And what I find, although there's some weirdos on the right, everybody on the left, I'm not talking about the straw man, I'm talking about every single person on the left, they don't have that. They're anti-police, they're anti-man, they're anti-white, and they don't care about the story. If it's a white guy that's messed up, that's fine. I have no problem with that. But if it's not, and you lie about it, you're not woke. You're not a social justice warrior. You're not a revolutionary Martin Luther King, Malcolm X hero. You're a phony. You're a liar. You are the problem in this world. And it's really, really tiresome. I want to leave on this note. I said a tweet the other day, I was feeling it, and it's why I don't agree with leftist ideology and something that they'll never understand. Like that simple truth that I just told you, nothing racist, sexist, or xenophobic. Actually, it's very pure and very honest and very open to every race, religion, and gender. They'll never tell you that. Find the best of the best on the left. They'll never admit that. They'll never show you that. They have an agenda to push. But think about the NBA. All right, National Basketball Association. National Basketball Association, it's the best basketball players in the world. It's the best. So imagine there's somebody that sucks at basketball. They're not athletic. They're never going to be in the NBA. Imagine if we had social programs and all sort of media to tell that person, hey, let's give you $5,000, $10,000, $50,000. We're going to pay for your training. We're going to make you as strong as possible, and we're going to get you in the NBA. It's a lie. The whole left is a lie because certain people are just not good enough. It's just the truth. Like certain people, no matter how much you do, they're never going to be good enough. For the NBA, certain people, there's nothing you can do to put them in the NBA. They're not LeBron James. They're not Steph Curry. They're never going to be good enough. And that's okay. That's not for them. But the problem with the left is they don't understand that. So take that same ideology to every aspect of life. The left doesn't want to admit that. And it has nothing to do with race, religion, and gender. In the NBA, LeBron, Steph Curry, they're not white. And that's fine. It doesn't matter what their race is. They're the best at basketball, so they get to go there. Some little schmuck who can't dribble, he's never going to be there. But they don't get that. So they try to take the tax money, they try to gouge the middle class, and they try to screw over the working person because they think that certain people are going to get there one day. And the truth is, certain people do need help, but inherently a lot of people, they actually don't. They're not good enough at whatever it is, whether it's sports, whether it's certain jobs, whether it's being a good person, whether it's being a functioning member of society. They're never going to be there because they don't have the drive. It goes back to, someone said Curry's not white. That's what I said. I didn't say he was white, unless I misspoke. Anyway, take that with certain things, like homelessness. The narrative that the left follows, and the right, honestly, I don't think anybody talks about this stuff like I do. The narrative is they need help. They need a job. They need money. They need shelter. And the truth is, some of them do. I'm not going to deny that. I'm not a terrible, mean person. Yeah, some people do need help. But the honest, blunt truth that no one wants to say is a lot of them don't need help. You can't help someone that can't help themselves. This goes in any aspect of their life. The NBA. You can't help somebody that can't help themselves. You just can't help somebody that's not athletic. But you can't help your friend who doesn't want to actually help themselves. And there's millions of people in this world that don't want to help themselves. So the left ideology is dragging everyone else down, dragging the upper class down, actually just making them leave because they're not going to stay. So once all the upper class leaves because they don't want to pay for these ridiculous fines, now you're dragging down the middle class. You're dragging them down, 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 in hopes that the people at the bottom will someday reach this level. And some of them will. There's miracle stories. I'm not anti-welfare. I'm not anti-helping people. I'm anti-total welfare state. I'm anti not understanding that maybe 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80% of homeless people are never going to be functioning members of society. They don't want to be. Some of them have mental health problems. Maybe 30, 40, 50% of them have mental health problems that they can't help. And that's okay. But then the question is, how do we help these people? Can we get them mental health help? Let's do that. I'm trying to help these people. I'm not trying to not help them. I'm just saying, when you lie about the situation at hand, you're never going to solve the problem. Homelessness in California and homelessness in America, it's never going to get solved because they're assuming that everyone needs help. And the truth is, it's not true. A lot of these people, they don't need money. They don't want shelter. They don't want to live in these little dingy shelters. They don't want that. They want to live on the street. They want to throw their lives away. I know, I'm not saying everybody. There is some people and a decent amount of people who are legitimately homeless. But I know so many stories of people who just do it because they don't want to rise the ranks in life. Like they've decided that that's an easier route for them to go. I don't know if it's genetic. I don't know if something happened to them in their life. I don't know if it's a choice. I'm not a scientist, but I know that they're never going to get there. It's just like, why are certain people, the CEO, besides maybe some people, they were born with it, but like, Why do some people rise the ranks? Why did 50 Cent go from nothing to being a multimillionaire in a bunch of companies? Why was it? It's because he had drive and ambition and probably skill and intelligence. You know, like, he had it, and some people don't. And he probably wanted it really bad, and some people don't want it that bad. Why am I here, besides the fact that I don't lie to people 24/7? When I was working on my craft, I never knew I was going to do this, and honestly didn't even mean to. It just kind of fell into my lap. But the reason that fell into my lap is because I've been working I put in work that other people don't want to put in. I put in like 40, 50, 60, 80-hour weeks, didn't take vacations for 8 years of my life. I literally slaved over 4 or 5 jobs, you know, at the same time, while I'm doing this to the side for 20 hours, while I'm rapping, while I'm doing this. I worked harder than everybody. I took the steps that no one wants to take. And still to this day, I did 5 videos yesterday. I work harder than people. Certain people, no matter how much money you steal from me and give to them, they're never going to put in that work. And with leftist ideology, I just don't think they understand that. I'm not saying we don't need to help people. I'm not saying we don't need mental health and shelters. We do. But you have to understand 100% of these people do not need jobs and money. Probably nearly 0% of them need jobs, because there's more jobs available than there are people looking for jobs. There's help wanted signs everywhere. None of these people want jobs. Either they're mentally health, they're on drugs, or they just chose that life, or something really bad happened and they maybe, I don't know, but I time and time again, I've tried to help people on the street. I have friends who've tried to help people on the street. Some of them don't want to do it. And I'm not saying that there's not something to be done, but the way that they analyze every problem, whether it's race, whether it's religion, whether it's gender, whether it's homelessness, whether it's economy, whether it's jobs, whether it's energy, the left lies about everything, and nothing's going to be solved, because you can't build a foundation of truth and solutions off of a bunch of lies. So to fix homelessness, you have to understand this percentage of people, they're just losers, okay? I don't know whether it's 5. They're losers, they're crackheads, they're meth heads. They chose this life, and it is what it is. This percentage, their mental health. They really have problems. We need to get their mental health. This percentage of people had a bad run, and they need actual help getting back on their feet. But unless you break down who's who, you're never going to solve it. And they say 100% of people need shelter, money, and food. And it's not true. There's people passed out with 10 Chick-fil-A bags around them. They're not starving. There's fat homeless people who eat 20 times a day. They eat more than I do. I'm just being honest. I know people, I don't want to hear it's true. There are homeless people that eat more than me. It's because it's not hard to get food. People are very nice. Inherently, once again, humanity's nice. So it's not hard to get 20, 30, 40 bucks a day and to stuff your face with 5 meals. I'm not saying all of them do, but there's other things. So the point I'm trying to say is, on this note, besides Steve King, yes, he slipped up. Nothing the liberal media is actually going to do, because they'd rather spend 3 years on semantics and words and feelings and terms instead of really getting to the root of these problems. Why is this happening? Why is this happening? What actually matters? Is there a problem of this type of supremacy? How do we stop it? Is there a problem with this type of supremacy? How do we stop it? Is this type of supremacy, athletic supremacy, is it because people are mean, or is it because certain people are just born genetically really good at athletics? Like, every type of supremacy is not there only because of, bad economic situations. Some of them are. I'm not agreeing. Yes, some of them are racist. Some of them are terrible. Some of them are inherently made. But some supremacies in the world are there for man supremacy when it comes to sports is there because men are stronger. And no matter how much you change your gender, no matter how much you lie to yourself, women, unless, they evolve, they're not going to be stronger and better at sports than men. That type of supremacy is unchangeable. The reason that they focus so much on the Steve King stuff is because in the Western world, people get treated pretty well. And in other worlds, people don't get treated so well. And in places like South Africa, there's real racist crimes on a whole nother level than here being committed. Although there are, of course, terrible people here as well. But the whole conversation is always framed so wrongly. And I'm going to spend a lot of this year doing videos like this, also doing effective videos that you could share, and also trying to get interviews and discussions in big places so I can have these discussions. And one of those places is going to be Sunday. I'll be speaking or hosting a panel at Blexit. So if you guys are going to that thing, Candace, Brandon Tatum, a few others, I don't know who I'm talking, a hip-hop panel talking about hip hop, what effect it's had on communities, positive or negative. I'm excited about that. It's just one of the many discussions I'm trying to have, not to be mean, not to be hateful, not to be controversial or edgy, simply because I know that lying on the surface and being offended by everything doesn't help any community of every race, religion, and gender. And when you get to the root of it, you understand that there's great people, and most people are inherently great, and no race is inferior as far as, oh, like, you want that. No, I want everyone to be happy. And I know from my channel, the good people of every race, religion, and gender, and the honest people, and the fair people, and the just people of every race, religion, and gender know what time it is. And our clock is not stopping. We know what time it is, and we're not slowing down. So God bless you. God bless America. God bless your family. God bless the world. Thank you guys for joining today. I got my YouTube channel of my 5 videos from the live stream yesterday. They're all chopped into clips. Go subscribe on YouTube, and you could check or share those out if you want to rewatch my live streams, but watch them in smaller clips that are shareable. Also, sign up to my free email list if you haven't. It's 100% free. And thank you so much to everybody that's supporting on Patreon and DonorBox. I won't say lazy because I'm not really lazy, but I've been working on other stuff, so I'm going to get a PayPal link, and I'll probably eventually phase out Patreon, but I'm not really in a rush, to be honest. The whole company's not going to collapse under my weight. Ruben and Peterson are working on stuff, but to be honest, I want to see what they're working on, and I want to see why I should trust it. You know, it's not even built yet, so I'm not going to delete $1,000 a month to join a platform that doesn't even exist yet. People are saying, why didn't you delete your Patreon yet? Well, they didn't really do anything to me, and the people that they did, no offense, I'm not saying that I don't, but like, I don't know that much about the guy that they did it to. You know, it's not that emotionally invested. YouTube deleted some of my favorite people. Twitter deleted some of my favorite people. I didn't delete my Twitter and YouTube. To everyone who's like, Anomaly, you should have deleted Patreon by now. All right, you take $1,000 and throw it in the trash can, and also delete your Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, delete all the social medias, because they got rid of Alex Jones, Laura Loomer, Owen Benjamin, so you might as well delete them all, right? Of course you don't want to. So the fight is internal sometimes. I'm sticking in the game. Thank you guys who's supporting on DonorBox. Thank you for supporting on Patreon. I promise I'll get a PayPal link soon. And it is what it is. But yeah, sign up to my free email list if you haven't. I still haven't sent out a Christmas or New Year's email. I'm sorry. It's better than me sending emails out every like 5 seconds. You know, some people send 5 a day. I'd rather send out 1 every 2 months. I'm not annoying. Please sign up. Have a good day. I'll be back later or tomorrow with a rare video.